All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by good friends here at FanDuel. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am ready to discuss the Denver Nuggets and a variety of things, a variety of factors that are facing them over the course of the preseason and into the NBA season, and stuff that could potentially affect them for several years down the line. Yes, I am talking about rookie contract extensions for Christian Braun, Peyton Watson. And then once we kind of get into the second segment, we'll go into re-ranking the West teams. I'm curious to get your thoughts on where I have those guys currently ranked, where I have different teams currently ranked, and we'll talk about a variety of those things over the course of this show. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate the love and support on the podcast. As always, folks, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's get into it as we really start to kick things off here. There was a report for Christian Braun and Peyton Watson and the rookie contract extension window that they are facing, which, by the way, that deadline is on October 20th, the day before the NBA regular season starts. The Nuggets have until then to negotiate with their own rookie contract extension guys who are going into their fourth season. That's how restricted free agency works, where basically, you get multiple chances as a team to retain your own free agents, opportunities that other teams don't necessarily get. And it's not essential that the Nuggets get this done at this point, but it does kind of prevent some shenanigans down the line. If you feel really committed to it, if you feel really confident about it, then why not get it done? And so we'll talk through some of those layers for sure. But wanted to pull up this report from our guys over at the Steinline Substack, as I forgot to pull it up and wanted to make sure. Is this in the right section of my account? Anyway, I think I actually have a screenshot. No, that was from my phone. Basically what happened, Jake Fischer over at the Steinline, he reported yesterday, and in a article that came out yesterday, an email distribution that came out yesterday, about a variety of guys, a variety of contract situations, but notably about the Nuggets situation, and basically said, hey, Christian Braun, that deal is ongoing. The negotiations are going for that one. That one is something that the Nuggets are trying to get done for sure. And I would call it their first priority over Peyton Watson, who would be the second priority in this conversation. And that makes sense because Christian's a starter. He's a guy that they feel extremely comfortable with and extremely comfortable with giving a fair amount of money. The money itself is going to raise some eyebrows. I think the number that Jake Fischer said in that particular dispatch was that it's about 25 plus million that he is expecting. And that seems to be the low end for per year money of what Christian Braun is expected to command. And that to me is a good representation of how the market has increased, how the dollars in the NBA are just larger than they were before. And honestly, how a lot of people don't fully appreciate what that has gotten to over the course of the last couple of years. So, and what I mean by that, I did some numbers and I actually posted a short yesterday. If you didn't see it, go check it out on all of my socials, including TikTok. It's crazy. I don't even know what's going on over there, but I'm trying my best. Basically, I put together about a 2.5 minute video that sort of went through the situation that the Nuggets find themselves in, comparing and contrasting it with the situation where they let go of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He signed a 3-year, $66 million deal with the Orlando Magic. It was a deal that the Nuggets were not willing to sign at that point. And I understand why, because there were some limitations. The percentage of the cap at that point was a little bit different. 2 years later, as the cap has increased, I would say it's going to increase in between 15 to 20% since that particular time. The cap is going up to the point where the Nuggets are more than willing, or they should be more than able to afford that level of money. But the other factor, of course, is that Christian Braun proved that he was an amazing player last year and had an amazing level of impact. He was 25th in the entire NBA in estimated wins on Dunks and Threes EPM metric. There are several other metrics that really liked what he did. The efficiency that he played with was exquisite. And it was something that not even KCP could really do, because Christian was just attacking the rim on an extensive basis. He improved on the defensive end throughout the year, one of the only guys that was able to do that. And it just felt like the Nuggets and Christian Braun were kind of a match made in heaven. He's a great fit next to Nikola Jokic. He's continuing to get better. You saw on Monday that he has really taken some steps forward in his game and in his confidence in his shot and things like that. He's in a good place. So for him to ask for 25 plus million now, while you might draw some ire from a certain group of Nuggets fans that are very much of the idea that only Jokic matters and only Jokic should get paid, everybody else, I think, would feel pretty reasonable about that. Christian heading into this year on the Locked On 100 was about 91st or so, maybe kind of in the 90 range. On the ESPN Top 100, he was in the 60s. I couldn't believe it. That seemed to be pretty high for me. But that's the kind of player that you're thinking of. That's the kind of player that people are expecting to get for this upcoming season. That's not just a fourth or fifth option, That's somebody that, on other teams, might even be a third option, might even have a little bit more of an elevated role. Now, is he going to ever average 20 points per game? Probably not. That's not his skill set. But he's one of those guys. He's one of those elite role player types. I'm thinking OG Anunoby, Alex Caruso, Mikal Bridges. He's better than Josh Hart. Josh Hart is a different level of player, somebody that doesn't impact the game as much as Christian Braun does, in my opinion. But it's that kind of tier that you're talking about with different players that you would expect to get paid. And who's the equivalent on the Cavs? It's probably Jared Allen, right? Jared Allen or DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter has a contract that's $22 million a year, but he signed it 2-3 years ago. Happy G says Derek White's paid $30 million a year. I don't think that Christian is as good of a player as Derek White. I think that Derek White is probably he's closer to Jamal Murray in terms of where he should be ranked. But you can understand why Derek White's deal at that point would be a bargain, as opposed because if Jamal's paid 50, maybe he should be paid 40 to 45. Then maybe Derek White should be paid even higher than something like 30 million a year, as opposed to Christian Braun, who if he does get 25, I think that's just fine. I don't think that that's a crazy thing at all. So going through some numbers and looking at some different things, I pulled the numbers for the KCP contract extension. Let me actually put them up on screen, or not just the KCP, but also the Christian Braun stuff. I put this on Locked On yesterday. I'm going to put it here now. This is Christian Braun versus KCP. The salary cap in year one, that column is very important in terms of determining the percentage of the cap. The deal that the Nuggets gave KCP, the 2-year, $30 million extension when he just got to Denver, was a bargain. It was very low. It was just to give KCP a little bit of security just in case things didn't work out. It worked out. And so KCP leveraged that into a larger deal, which was 3 years, $66 million. But at the time of that salary cap, it was 140.6 was the salary cap that year. That was 15.6% of the salary cap. So makes sense that the Nuggets balked at that point. But then you've got 3 different options here of deals that the Nuggets could give Christian Braun. If they gave him that same per year number at 22 million, it would actually be 13.3% of the cap right now, which is low, I think, for what Christian has done, what he has deserved. And this is an opportunity for him to make some money. And you don't want to shortchange him in that case. If you're the Nuggets, like, he should be paid accurately for what he did. 25 million, which is a 4-year $100 million contract versus a 4-year $88 million contract. 100 million would represent 15.1% of the cap, which is actually still lower than the deal that KCP signed with Orlando. That is how much money has grown in the NBA over the course of these, like, certainly this last year and then this next year too. If you start to get up into that $28 million range, I think it's perfectly fair for Nuggets fans to be a little bit queasy about that, because like you're really I think 30 million is where you start to think, okay, you can make an all-star game. And I don't think that Christian's going to make an all-star team. I don't think that that's in his future, but that doesn't mean that he can't. It's not that he cannot do it. It's more that it shouldn't be built into the expectation of the contract. So I think that Denver's in a pretty good place here. I think that they know what they can expect from Christian Braun, and they know what they need to do, what they need to get from him going forward. And I think he understands and appreciates that. I think that the deal that they're going to come to is about 5 years, $125 million. You heard from the report from Jake Fischer that it was going to be about $25 million per year was kind of the floor. It was kind of the low point of what to expect for a Christian Braun deal. I think that in order to justify that from the Nuggets point of view, they're going to want that for as long as possible. And then you keep it at 25, 25, 25, 25, 25 flat over the course of the length of that contract, so that as the salary cap continues to go up, the Nuggets get a better and better percentage of the cap deal going down the line. I think that makes sense. You'd rather have something like that as opposed to something that is escalating, something like, because if you start at 25 and it actually escalates up to 29 or 30 by the end of it, then you're not really getting much of a deal at that point. So it's tough. It's a tough situation for the Nuggets to be in, because they want to keep him. They want to keep him around for sure. But Christian also deserves to figure out how much money he could possibly make and try not to shortchange that at all. So I think that they'll meet in the middle on something like that. A 5-year, $125 million deal to me makes a lot of sense. But don't be surprised if it comes in a little bit higher than that too, especially on a per year basis. The Nuggets, they know how much they value him. They know that he's somebody that they want around for a long time. And it would not surprise me if people get shocked by the number. As for Peyton Watson, in that same report, Jake Fischer effectively said that the Nuggets were unlikely to agree to a deal with Peyton Watson because of the financial restrictions on the team. And I want to outline that for people here. If I remove this, we'll go back here. I didn't update the two-way guy slots, but like that cycles through. Denver's got an open roster spot right now. This is the expectation for money that they have. That Jonas Valanciunas number that you see on the screen right now, the 10.395 in 2025-26, the 10 million next to it is a team option. So keep that in mind. That should be highlighted in, I believe, green. Or no, it's in blue, excuse me. But what I've done here is I have plugged in different numbers for Christian Braun and Peyton Watson for what I would expect them to kind of be willing to sign for, but also be like just a hypothetical at this point. As you see in the 2026-27 season, Christian Braun gets 25 million, Peyton Watson gets 11. He gets paid like a quality reserve, not necessarily a starter at that point. But if you scroll all the way down, you look all the way down to the super tax apron space. That is the second apron. Denver would be $12.2 million over the second tax apron at that point. That's tough. That's, again, it is something that the Nuggets, I think, consider a hard cap. They do not want to go over that number. So it's one of the reasons why, hey, Are you going to let go of Peyton Watson? Are you not going to agree to a deal with him? There's at least a possibility that they let him walk or they trade him for somebody that is going to make less money as a result. And if you're a Nuggets fan, that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear that the front office and the ownership group are willing to go into the second tax apron. They are willing to do what it takes to retain this group, play for as long as possible with Nikola Jokic's prime, and that would be the hope. But the problem that you're looking at, of course, is that it's going to be hard to retain guys like Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. They come off the books, and you would still need to pay them minimum contracts. So that's about $4.5 million, $4.6 million that you would need to add on to an already low number. And then you also factor in what Cody says here, Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson's in the final year of his contract at that point. Do the Nuggets want to retain Cam Johnson? And if so, how do they do that? And can they do it without going into the second apron? That's a great question. It's really hard to think about a way that they can if Peyton Watson is going to get paid, if Christian Braun is going to get paid, if they're going to get paid these significant numbers. And I think that Christian is somebody that they believe they can continue to trust, they can continue to build around. With Peyton, I think that they are very much in the wait and see, kind of prove it section of stuff. I just don't think that that's the right thing. I think that you should be trying to retain as many people as possible, be willing to go into the second apron, and then cross that bridge when you come to it. That's just the price of being an elite team at this point. Yes, it will set you back in future seasons. Yes, it's going to be a pretty pricey endeavor. But if you win a championship, if you come close to winning a championship, the way that you win most of the time, unless you have the resources that OKC has, excuse me, the way you do that is you pay players, is you actually pay them the amount of money that they are worth, that they deserve. So can Denver find a way to get under that cap number, under that super tax number, without letting go of anybody? That's a tough question. I think you would likely, if you saw Peyton Watson sign a contract, if you saw Christian Braun sign a contract, I think you could say goodbye to Jonas Valanciunas next year on that team option, and Denver would probably find a way to get rid of Zeke Naji. They would trade him along with something else for some sort of expiring contract. That would be their goal. And that's tough. That's very tough. And then Happy Jeet says it here. Murray's new deal handcuffed us on the cap like MPJ's contract did. It does look like it's handcuffing people. You start at 46.3, then you go to 50.1, then 53.8, then 57.5. It's a lot of money. That is a significant amount of money. So it is encouraging that Murray is moving positively right now in like the preseason kind of area. And the hope is that he plays the way that a $50 million or $46 million player should. And if that's the case, it's really hard to complain at that point. The question is whether if he's not doing that, then you have to have some hard conversations. I think one of the reasons why you're seeing Murray kind of motivate a little bit is because he knows that he could be next if things do not work out for Denver. They might just have to make changes. And looking at the salary cap sheet, you can see why. Because Cam Johnson is worth a lot of money. Christian Braun is worth a lot of money. Aaron Gordon worth a lot of money. He's about to kick in. And so that next deal in 2026-27, Aaron Gordon's going to make $32 million. Like Nuggets fans are going to, they're going to be looking at that contract in some kind of way, I think, at some point too. So it is not just a Jamal Murray concern. It is a Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon concern. As everybody gets older, as everybody has more pressure applied to them, it's going to be tough. And obviously, Jokic, I think you would expect for the Nuggets to have him decline that $62 million player option and then sign a new Supermax extension in this next offseason. So we'll find out. We'll see how it goes. But But it's tough. Like this is the world that we live in now, the salary cap era of the NBA. And it kind of sucks. Like this would not have been such a concern for the Nuggets in the past CBA, in the prior CBA. Like they may not, now maybe they should have traded Michael Porter even with the prior CBA, but they wouldn't have had to the way that they just did. Things became very restrictive. And for Nuggets fans, you have to be willing to accept that these numbers matter. And like, I am willing to accept it. But if I'm the Nuggets, I sign everybody and then worry about it later. I kick the can down the road for as long as possible while Nikola Jokic is in his prime and just do what it takes to win as many games and to win as many titles as possible, like right now, because the time is now. It's not later, it is now. So keep that in mind. All right. When we come back, we are going to re-rank the Western Conference. This will be an informal thing, but I will be giving some takes along with some odds for the Western Conference heading into the 2025-26 season here on Pickaxe and Roll. This podcast is brought to you by Delete Me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone feel vulnerable. Data brokers, they profit off of your data. It's a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. Have you ever been the victim of identity theft, harassment, doxing? If you haven't, you probably know someone who has. Delete Me can help. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to deleteme.com/hit and use promo code HIT at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/HIT and enter code HIT at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/HIT, code HIT. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. All right, let's get into the Western Conference as like a lot changes around the Nuggets. The Nuggets are probably more focused on themselves than anything else, but I am focused on the Western Conference right now. I wanted to take a peek at things this morning, really take a look at, okay, how is this going to look? How is this going to feel for the Nuggets when they enter the NBA season? And what I found was that West is still pretty tough, especially when people are healthy, when teams are healthy at the beginning of the year. The West is really ridiculously tough. And it's just something that the Eastern Conference has never had to deal with. Brooklyn was really surprising last year. Like, that's just the Western Conference every single season. When, like, the Pelicans, for example, they were very shockingly bad last year. Do you expect that to happen once again from an injury perspective, from an absence perspective? Maybe you do, and I get why, but I just think that, like, Denver's going to be competing with everybody for a lot. And the number that I put out from a win total perspective for the Nuggets is a little bit shaky because of how many opportunities there are to slip up every single day, every single game in the Western Conference when you're facing these teams on a consistent basis. So it'll be tough, but the Nuggets are at this stage. They got to be ready. So without further ado, we're going to go in reverse order. We're going to talk about the bottom of the Western Conference first and then move up to the top. The one here with Utah, I think everybody is in lockstep over. Utah is like, are they going to start Yusuf Nurkic over Walker Kessler? Is that something that's going to happen? That seems odd. They do not have a lot going for them, although drafting Ace Bailey, he looked pretty good in each of the last couple games. That's nice to see. Do I think that that is going to carry them to more than 25 wins in the Western Conference? Probably not. And in all likelihood, I think it's way closer to 20 than it is to 25. So we'll see what they look like and whether they can actually turn things around. But Lauri Markkanen constantly in trade rumors. A lot of the veterans that they moved They moved. Was it John Collins? No, yeah, it was John Collins. They did a 3-way trade with the Miami Heat and LA Clippers. That's what I was thinking, because like John Collins did not end up, or Norman Powell did not end up in Utah. They traded Colin Sexton. They traded John Collins. They let go of Jordan Clarkson. Like a lot of these guys that they had been holding on to for trade purposes, like those were their vets. Now they're just playing young guys. And when you just play young guys, it gets bad. So I would not expect much from them. New Orleans is the next one for me. It's really tough to think about, like especially last year, the actual standings that they had were pretty shaky. Where did my standings go? Sorry, I'm a mess this morning. Let's look up NBA standings. Yeah, Pelicans last year won 21 games. They ended on a 7-game losing streak. They started the year horribly. I do not expect them to win that much more. They traded CJ McCollum away. They added Jordan Poole. They drafted a couple of guys towards the top of the draft in the lottery. They sent a first-round pick unprotected next year to the Atlanta Hawks for Derek Queen. They do not have incentive to lose, but I think it's going to happen naturally. They just keep getting hit with injuries. Zion Williamson is just somebody that I don't think you can realistically trust, but it's annoying because they have the talent. They have always had the talent to be better than this. And like last year, I think a lot of people expected them to be kind of in the 9 to 10 area, but they're not there right now. Just looking at their roster, I mean, Jordan Poole probably start at point guard. DeJounte Murray will come back at some point. He tore his Achilles, so like wouldn't surprise me if he was a little bit late on the get up there. Zion Williamson is there. Herb Jones is there. Trey Murphy is there. They have Yves Missi, who started last year. They added Kevon Looney as a veteran backup. They added Derek Queen. They do have depth. Like they have some surprising depth. Jordan Hawkins is somebody that they've liked for a while. Jeremiah Fears is somebody else that they drafted pretty high. Jose Alvarado is still there. So like they've got good players on their team. It's just, I don't trust it. And I don't think anybody else realistically can either. So too bad is what it is. Phoenix comes in at 13. There is some positive momentum from Phoenix because it feels like they have sort of reset who they are after trading away Kevin Durant. And there is some Ewing theory that I'm kind of exploring at least a little bit with them where, yeah, you know what? What if they're just better without KD? I mean, last year they won 36 games. It's not like they're going to have to try that hard to be that much better. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. There's too much that they have to piece together, and their forward rotation is so bad. Like on top of just like here, so Dylan Brooks is the main guy that they're going to have. Like everybody knows that he was traded there. Ryan Dunn is somebody that they also have. Royce O'Neal is somebody who will be there and be a consistent part of things. They drafted a guy named Rasheer Fleming in the early second round. So that's somebody that they're hoping takes a step forward for them. But just like the names that I just named, like Dylan Brooks will be a positive impact guy. Ryan Dunn, are you expecting him to be a starter caliber player immediately? The answer is probably not. And then Devin Booker is going to be fighting Jalen Green for the ball for half of the season. I don't know how that works. I don't understand how that works. And on top of that, their 3-person center rotation is Nick Richards, Mark Williams, and Kaman Maluach, who was the rookie that they drafted earlier, like in the lottery this year. So I don't believe in it. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. Like Kem, wanted to go back to the other section of the pod. Ryan, I just don't understand what this idea that the market has increased has come from. Did we not just watch Kuminga, Cam Thomas, Josh Giddey get lowballed all summer? We did. And then Josh Giddey got 4 years, $100 million. And then Cam Thomas signed a qualifying offer. Quentin Grimes signed a qualifying offer. Those guys definitely did. Jonathan Kuminga still got $24 million a year. He did get a team option, but like Jonathan Kuminga is nowhere close to the kind of winning player that Christian Braun is to me. And like, there's a reason why they've tried to trade him for the entire time. I think that if you believe in your talent, if you believe in your team, you want to reward those guys. You want to put them into a position where they feel like they are comfortable. They feel like they can not worry about money and just worry about basketball. If you're constantly having to worry about money, then you're doing it wrong as an organization. So hopefully Denver's not in that position. But like, there are other, like, the amount of money that those restricted free agents got was still larger. It was still a lot more than the previous year and the year before that and the year before that. Now, there might have been a little bit more flexibility in some of those like middle tier offers, but Christian Braun's not really a middle tier player. He is, I think, better than that and deserves to be paid more than that. Now, Peyton Watson, I totally understand. He's more comparable to a guy like Kuminga. He's more comparable to a guy like Cam Thomas. Talented player, developmental player, needs more opportunity to play to win rather than somebody who's just ready now like a Christian Braun was. Okay, well, Suns they're still shaky. I don't really believe in them. And 12, I've got the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento, according to FanDuel, is plus 320 to make the playoffs this year. And it seems like FanDuel has really kind of taken the same sort of tone that I have. And that's Sacramento. It's going to be really tough for them to make the playoffs. They have a lot of shaky vets on their team, a lot of players over the course of the offseason that they've grabbed, over the course of the last year that they've grabbed, between DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Dennis Schroeder. Like, individually, I think that those players are fine. There's no reason not to like what they can do within the context of a team that is also doing other good things. The Kings are not that team, and they've added all of them together. And there was a rumor that they were going to add Russell Westbrook too. I don't think that's happening, and I think that there's a reason why, because the idea of putting Russell Westbrook along with Dennis Schroeder, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine is ridiculous. It is just a flat-out ridiculous thing to do. So I can understand why Sacramento is this low from an odds perspective, and for me, I agree. I just don't think that they're going to be a team that is really sustainable. Their defense is going to be bad. They do not have they have talent, but like, it's not directed well. And it just would not surprise me if this was a team that was blowing it up during the middle of the year, where things do not work out. They're all unhappy. And you start really looking at the idea of, let's flip Zach LaVine if we can. Does Domantas Sabonis want out? DeMar DeRozan, how you doing? Keegan Murray, are you going to get paid as much as other guys on the open market? Who knows? But sorry, I need some water. I just think that there's a clear delineation between what Sacramento is and what the rest of the potential playoff teams can be. One of them is Portland, who, I'm not going to lie, a little bit of a hot take that they are over Sacramento, because I just watched them start Jeremy Grant over Denny Avdia, and I thought that was ridiculous. I hope that Chauncey Billups doesn't do that, but if they get off to a losing situation at the beginning of this year, Chauncey might get fired. Scoot Henderson is injured early on, and he's going to probably miss the beginning of the season, from what I understand. And they have a lot of great defense, but they do not have a lot of great offense. They are now, like, they lost DeAndre Ayton. They lost, is Duop Reith still there? I think he is. But really, they're going to start Donovan Clingan, and then they're going to have Hansen Yang as their backup five. And when you have such young centers, it's really difficult to tie everything together from both an offensive and defensive standpoint. They're going to be at the center of everything. And that can be really challenging, especially in a Western Conference where teams are just going to attack them on a consistent basis. And I think that Clingan will be really great defensively. He's going to struggle offensively. And as a result, their team is going to struggle offensively for a lot of the time. Like there's a lot of pressure on Shaden Sharp to be their top scorer, and he might. Like there's a possibility that this is wrong and that Portland gets into the play-in and gets into the playoffs, but I just am not sure I'd bet on him being their number one scoring option. And we'll see what happens. Like the fact that Jeremy Grant is still starting for them that's bad. That is a bad sign. That is a team that is going to lose. Okay. Dallas is at 10. I was lower on Dallas before, but now I've started to come around to the idea that their defense is going to be really good. I don't think it's going to be much better than this in terms of where they're going to get to, but I do think that Dallas is going to be one of those teams that they're going to be annoying to play because of how much size they have, how much athleticism they have. They are defensive minded for sure. And it does seem to me like, it does seem to me like they're in a pretty good position to really amp it up and really play hard. D'Angelo Russell is going to be their starting point guard, though, and Klay Thompson, I think, is going to be their starting two. If not him, then Najee Marshall or somebody of that nature. Caleb Martin is on that team. Do they have enough guard play in order to really trust it? It's a good question. I don't know. I do not know, and I think that there are some concerns from an offensive perspective that do need to be addressed, and it's why I have them here and not higher. Like, if Kyrie Irving was healthy, I think that I'd have them in the top 7, maybe the top 6. Like they are a team that you could see playing pretty well and being pretty successful. There's a reason why Nico Harrison made the Luka Doncic trade. He was definitely coerced. Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. God, he's what a dingus. What a dingus. Yeah. Okay, we'll skip Dallas now. Memphis comes in at 9. They are very average. They're going to be a team that is pretty representative of average. I would expect them to win about 40 games, maybe 42, and they'll be competitive for sure. But there are enough injuries to their starting front courts. There are enough questions about their backcourt. They don't necessarily have enough like actual wings and forwards and talented players of that nature to kind of bridge the gap for their team. Just looking at their roster, John Morant and Scottie Pippen Jr. will be playing in the backcourt, but they traded Desmond Bane for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, among other guys, including Cole Anthony, who they waived. They did not keep Cole Anthony around. They've got some other like talented guys like Vince Williams Jr., John Conchar, Ty Jerome is somebody who they added. Like he'll help out on the offensive end for sure. He had a great year last year for Cleveland, but they're just going to be playing small a ton. And Jalen Wells will probably start at small forward for them. That's fine. Cedric Coward is a guy who they drafted, as I've mentioned, as a rookie. He'll be somebody that can hopefully contribute going forward, but there's no guarantee of that. And then G.G. Jackson, we'll see. I like G.G. Jackson. He went to South Carolina. So there's reasons to believe that they can do some stuff. But I'm not sure if I trust it. I think that there's too many holes in that rotation, and just assuming that John Morant and Jaren Jackson will do everything they need to do, I think that's pretty tough. I think Ja already sprained an ankle, so there's reason to be concerned. San Antonio comes in at 8. I don't think that they're going to be much higher than this. There are still some weaknesses within their rotation that they have to address. There are some questions as to who is actually in their top 5 that they need to address. Like there are guys that need to step up. Is Harrison Barnes still a member of their top 5? Is it Keldon Johnson? Is it Devin Vassell? Which of their guards are going to play a ton? It's De'Aaron Fox. It's Dylan Harper. It is Stephon Castle. Like, how does that all fit together? I think is a fair question. Like the talent is clearly there. The young guys are clearly like they'll take a step forward, and then Wemby's a space alien monk at this point that like he'll figure out some stuff. And the idea is that now you add somebody like Luke Cornett next to him. I'm just happy that they don't have Sandro Mamukelashvili anymore, because that dude was killing Denver. But they like, there's no doubt to me that they can go higher than this. I just don't expect them to. It's a lot. It's a tough year. They're probably going to win about 46, 47 games, but I think that's going to get the 8th seed this year. I don't think it's going to get much higher than that. Number 7, Golden State. I saw somebody post earlier that ESPN had Golden State at 56 wins. That was Kevin Pelton. He does very analytics forward win profile research and what to expect, what to think of. I just am going to bet against 56 wins. I do not think that that is reasonable. I think that it is far more likely that those guys, whether it's Curry, whether it's Draymond, whether it's Jimmy Butler, they're going to get hurt at some point, or they're not going to be able to fully amp it up for a full 82 game season, shockingly enough. Like, I just don't expect that to happen at all. And there are some like talented rotation players around them. Al Horford will help them during the season, but can he play 82 games? No, like expecting that is dumb. They still have questions at starting shooting guard, whether it's Brandon Podziemski, whether it's Moses Moody. Some of the like Podziemski's good, but is he great? No. And then the bench, you're still trying to figure out a whole bunch of different pieces. It's like a lot of mixing and matching. It's a lot of question marks. It's some talent, to be clear. Like, I really like DeAnthony Melton coming off of a torn ACL. That could be tough. Gary Payton II, we'll see what he still has. Jonathan Kuminga, we'll see what he has. Like, I'm not sure what that's going to look like. They're probably going to trade him during the middle of the year. So maybe the idea is that they trade Kuminga along with one or two of those other guys and then get better. I don't think it's going to get that much better. Do you? I don't think so. Lakers come in at 6. They are plus 140 to advance to the second round per FanDuel. Pretty close to positive money. I think they're 4th on that list in terms of the odds. I would not expect them to advance to the second round. I think that they are another first round out. I think that they are a team, especially if they were to fall in the 6th seed. I think that they are, like, first of all, they would face the Clippers, which would be hilarious. It would be absolutely hilarious. You know what? I actually think that the Lakers would beat the Clippers in a series, but that would be funny. It would just be objectively funny, and I'd really want to see it. Kawhi going up against LeBron, Luka having to go up against James Harden. Just an interesting mix of people and responsibilities and things of that nature. But the fact that LeBron's already hurt and that he and Luka have not practiced with DeAndre Ayton yet. Luka signed that extension and he's committed there. There's clearly there's a reason why he signed it. He's going to be a Laker. I just don't know what this year is going to be like for that team. I would be shocked if anybody actually knew, but I do not expect great things from that team this year, despite the fact that when they made the trade, they became immediate championship contenders. Like that's objectively a fact. Once you trade for Luka Doncic with the deal that they did, it is not that crazy to expect Luka to elevate things. But in order to do that, I think they needed to continue to build around him. And they're not really building around LeBron. They're not really factoring his skill set in and everything that he does or doesn't do. And so I don't think it's a perfect fit. I think that there's a lot of ball handlers and there's just a lot of weaknesses on their roster. And until LeBron's 50 plus million gets off of their books, I don't think they're actually going to be able to move forward. I think they're kind of stuck in this place right now until things change. So I would not take these odds. I think that plus 140 is built on public opinion, and it's not necessarily built on what the expectation should be. Because are they the favorite to beat OKC, Denver, Minnesota? They already lost to Minnesota. I don't see how that gets better. I wouldn't expect it. And then Houston, we'll see. Clippers, we'll see. Now I have Houston at 5, and I think that at this stage, Houston's going to be one of those teams that certainly is going to really struggle because of the Fred VanVleet absence. How much that hurts them in the regular season remains to be seen. What I will say is that between the the Warriors at 7, the Lakers at 6, Houston at 5, and then Minnesota at 4, and the Clippers at 3, I think that's going to be separated by like 3 games. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. If I think that San Antonio is going to be in that 46 to 47 range, I would say that the Warriors to the Clippers from 7 to 3 is about 48 to 52 in that general range from a wins perspective. It's not going to be separated by that much. These teams are all in the same tier. Houston, I think, though, has dropped into that tier in the regular season because they just do not have the ball handling and creation on that roster. They'll be fine. Like against most teams, they're going to be just fine. But against various teams that are going to be able to pressure their guards, if Durant doesn't have an elite shooting night, if Şengün misses around the rim a little bit, then there's some weaknesses there. But this is a team that's probably going to win about 50 to 51 game, 50 to 52 in that general range. I just happen to think that Minnesota is also going to win that number. I think they're going to bounce back from a wins perspective and really look pretty good this year. And then the Clippers are going to look pretty good this year too. They just have a really good balance. Kawhi is Kawhi. But the rest of their roster with Brook Lopez as the second center behind Ivica Zubac. They have John Collins as another kind of size option for them. They've got Nick Batum that they can deploy at random points. They've got Bogdan Bogdanovic for a full year. They have a really good mix. Chris Dunn is still there. Derek Jones Jr. is still there. They're just a team that I think is pretty capable. With Minnesota, it's a little bit more of a hot take that they're here above a team like Houston, above a team like LA. I just really like what they do and really think that Ant is going to continue to take steps forward. And they still have a team that is built well around him. And the young guys are still young, athletic, versatile, and will provide what they need to. Like they still have Naz Reid coming off the bench. They still have Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench. That is such an advantage for any, like those are 6th and 7th starters on their team. They have such depth. They're really good. They are really good. So Minnesota at 4, Clippers at 3. I have Denver at 2. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. I think that they're going to win in the range of 56 games. They're probably going to separate a little bit from the 48 to 52 pack, but it'll be pretty easy for them to fall back into that group if they aren't careful, if they aren't starting things off on a really good foot on a consistent basis in the early going. If they aren't going 14-6 or 15-5, they're going to be stuck near everybody for a long time. It's going to be very tough, but I hope that they try to take it personally of what happened with OKC last year. I hope they try to match them from a win total perspective, at least early on. And then once you develop that separation away from the crowd, that's where you let your foot off the gas a little bit. You're like, okay, we're gonna be okay. Going up against Charlotte, you do not have to play Jokic. Going up against Brooklyn, you do not have to play Jamal. Although that's a little different because Jamal's going to want to play against Mike, I think. But in those kinds of situations, in those rest spots later in the year, take advantage of those because you worked really hard and did the good things at the beginning. I do think that Denver's going to be a little bit lower on the totem pole than I would like from the regular season start perspective. But like, I don't think they're going 15-5. I think they're probably going 12-8, 13-7. Maybe they go 14-6, but really it's going to be in that general range as opposed to, oh, holy crap, they are neck and neck with OKC through the first 20 games of the season. Because that would be cool. That would be a cool story to follow if Denver was in that realm, as opposed to having to fight for their lives because they can't figure anything out against those other teams. And then number 1, OKC, this does not need any preamble. This is a team that's going to win 60 games. The question is, how many more than 60 are they going to win? Not how many fewer. And I think it's probably going to be about 62. They do not need to win 68 like they did last year. They can win 62 and be fine. They'll have some separation away from Denver. and still get the 1 seed. But like it's going to be an interesting battle. Like it really is going to be 2 Titans at the top, I think. So OKC will be the clear favorite. Denver will be the clear second favorite. And then you've got a whole bunch of other teams fighting amongst the masses, trying to separate themselves from each other, but probably just cannibalizing each other to the point where you're going to win about 48 to 52 games. Sounds about right. Okay, folks, that's all I have. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. This was a way longer show than I thought I was going to get to. TJ Trek says, FYI, I was curious, so I looked it up on FanDuel. Over-under for Golden State is 47.5. Yeah, like it should be that they're at kind of at the bottom tier of about 48. People that are going way over on that, it's possible, but like 56 from Kevin Pelton that's a crazy number. So is what it is. But folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at FanDuel. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Really appreciated this episode. Thanks for being engaging, really enjoying the content. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I will talk to you guys very soon.